what has allowed guys to be successful when they have had to change roles kind of on the fly like that?
Well, I mean, I think it starts in the preparation of what they're doing every day. But I'm not one like that puts a lot of stock in people's pregame routines and knowing 24 hours that you have to advance, or I'm just not an excuse maker, on that type of stuff. So I kind of make that clear with these guys that regardless of the role, regardless of whether you're a starter, regardless of whether you find out 5 minutes before or whatever, I haven't found yet that the mound or the distance changes from 60 feet to 6 inches. So these guys have done a really good job of preparing, and there's no big difference to me. You still got to go out and throw strikes, change speeds and pitches in the zone, and we've got some guys that have done that, and really it's the guys that are now doing it that may look a little bit different. It's just they've not had a lot of opportunity because the Kyle Harts and the Halsteads and those guys have been pretty consistent. So these guys have always been pretty good. They just haven't had a lot of chance and opportunity to do it. So but it's not, I don't think it's anything earth-shattering. It's just they've done a good job of preparing for their opportunity. Now they're taking advantage of it.
I guess what has been key in that preparation, especially for a guy maybe like Brian Cordy, who's been situational for a long time. Now all of a sudden he's stepping into a starter.
Yeah, but the situational stuff is more that happens during the game. What people aren't seeing as the practices, they're still throwing their bullpens. We still do simulated games, all those things. So he was ready. The only thing you worry about a little bit is the endurance factor. But he got us through. It was 5 the other day. I can't 5 or 6 the other day. So it's just the daily preparation, the weekly preparation. But I think there's oftentimes, though, and I'm flying on a tangent here, but I hear guys, complain about, well, I don't know, or I haven't prepared for that. Well, you're prepared to throw strikes and get on the mound, and so I think we've done a good job philosophically of just eliminating that whole excuse. Coach Higlin, and just get your chance to compete, go compete and see what happens, and that's what they're doing.
From an endurance standpoint, do you prepare guys in the fall just in case they end up being a starter?
Well,
do you think so that they can extend if need be?
No, you try to lay out. What you think the roles are going to be, but then the roles will be dictated on. Get some shorter. The roles will be dictated on really what they do in competition. Because our thing we always say is we're going to promise you an opportunity. What you do with that opportunity is up to you. And clearly, if you're pounding the strike zone, you're throwing strikes, you're being aggressive. That's going to lead to more opportunity, which, is a goal of a kid coming in. You want to be a weekend starter. The next one would be if you're not that, you want to be a guy who contributes on the weekend. If you're not that, you want to be a midweek starter. So it's nice to see that healthy competition that's built. But it's probably too early in the fall, really, to know who's going to be what, to start preparing for that, because you have to plan for the unexpected, which are injuries. But I think we've done a good job. And I don't want to say the credit's been some of the coaches. We've got good kids who just haven't pitched. If you remember back to our earlier interviews beginning of the season, I said there's going to be some guys who are going to throw well this year. People are going to be like, who's that? Like the Belcher. And so, I think the system is working.
The depth you've built in order to have that happen, and I know some of this comes with recruiting, some comes with player development, but how crucial has that been to you guys? And I know that's been a cornerstone, is it not?
Yeah, no, and I would say it really is a combination. Some of it is recruiting, and some of it is development. But we were just talking about that in the office the other day. You don't want to patch particularly publicly, but it was one of those where we're like, I don't know how many programs could overcome, in effect, losing certainly 2 pitchers out of your top 5, and the way Will's struggling right now, which we hope that we're going to get him back on track. Really 3 out of your top 5 from last year, but it's just a tribute. I think Coach Higgy's done a fantastic job. He's a very positive guy in keeping these guys on track physically, but also mentally.
I think it's something like 13-year last 14. You had that long winning streak last year. Do you see a difference in the way this group handles a stretch like this because they've been through it now?
Again, it's a lot of the same guys from last year. We were commenting on, gosh, I can't remember what trip it was coming back. And it was out at Iowa. We just won, the game, and I said it was funny. This is the same team as last year because we have these big wins, and then the bus ride from the field to the hotel is deathly silent. And that to me is a sign of a mature team. They don't get too high on the wins. They don't get too low on the losses. But yeah, I would say anytime you have that experience under your belt, it's going to help. What I look for, hopefully, is when the Schwarbers, the Travises, the DeMoose, and Donatos, and all those guys are gone from our program, that these young guys that have the opportunity and good fortune to be around these guys can handle it, moving this program forward the same way.
What has Coach Higlin meant to this program in just his first year here?
He's done a good job, and he's done a good job in his role of pitching coach, and replacing a long time coach in Ty Neal, but has really done a good job of just making the transition very smooth. Because as I said, he's very, very positive with the guys. He has an unwavering work ethic. He will work with these guys whenever they want around their class schedules, and I think the guys believe in him, and I think that's first and foremost. The guys have to trust you and be confident in you as a coach if they're going to follow you. And I think he's earned their trust and confidence on how he approaches his job every single day with them. They know he cares about them, therefore they're going to try harder for him.
Has Will been, I guess, repurposed at all? I mean, are you thinking about moving him in the bullpen for the weekend? What's kind of your plan for how to get him back on track and also how to get something out of him while you're doing that?
Well, I mean, sticking with the whole theme here, thank goodness we have some depth. He's and he'll get it back on track. I mean, I'm confident that kid pitched, and I've said it in some of the biggest games in the history of this program, and succeeded. So he will get it back. But we're gonna take it at his pace. We don't feel like we have to gamble with, hey, is he ready? And potentially cost us a game or two to do that. We don't feel that. So he's going to have to show it in practice. He's going to have to show it in practice again. He's going to have to show it in midweek, and then we'll start getting him back on track. And as long as he's ready, by postseason or we get close, then I want that one back, and we're going to get him. But a lot of it's going to depend on him. But the good part is that we have time, so we'll work at his pace.
What are you looking to see from Sully tomorrow?
Strikes, being aggressive in the zone. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and we keep saying it to our guys. You want to pitch at Indiana University, you got to throw strikes and be competitive in the zone. So I expect to see that out of him tomorrow.
How do you make sure that you don't overlook Ball State tomorrow with the big series against Illinois this
weekend? We're
weekend?
not overlooking Ball State because Ball State came in here last year, and when we were battling for a top 8 seed, and beat us. And if our guys are overlooking Ball State, then I can't make threats publicly. No, it isn't going to happen. I mean, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to prepare. But this again is a very mature team. We don't play the opponent. We just try to take one game at a time. To give you an example of that, it's like after we finish. Because our preparation is the next game or that day. We finish the Sunday series, and I'm like telling these guys, all right, guys, we got to get ready for my alma mater. We got Miami midweek. I didn't know who we were playing next week. So now that we know our focus is on Ball State, we have not talked one iota about Illinois. We could care less about Illinois until Wednesday night at probably 10:30.